Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's video where we're going to be looking at 3 ways to excel in meetings in English as a legal professional. And I decided to do this video today after talking to my clients who have, meetings are such a central part of what you do as a legal professional, whether it's collaborating with colleagues or connecting with potential clients and clients in English. When you need to do a meeting, conduct a meeting in a foreign language, it can be quite a challenge at first. And it's trying to show up with the same level of confidence and authority as you do in your native language is something that you all want to strive for in English. So that is why I have put together this video for you today, going over ways that you can really show up with authority in English, that you can respond without searching for your words, and be able to summarize topics concisely when you're in meetings in English. I'm trying my best to cover as much as I can in this video, but it's really just touching the surface. I do a lot more in my programs with my clients in the English Fluency Academy for Legal Professionals, and I'll give you more information at the end of the video about that if you want to hear more about that. So without further ado, let's get into the video. I'm going to be sharing my screen and showing you some slides. So let me just present and share my screen so you could see. Um, yeah, and you can see me there on the side. Actually, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Um, yeah, okay, that's fine. So, yes, um, 3 ways to excel in meetings in English as a legal professional. And here are a few things that I hear a lot from my clients. I freeze when I need to contribute in English. I don't know what to say to manage the meeting well. And I am frustrated that I can't express myself fully in meetings in English. Do any of those feel like something that you've struggled with in meetings in English, or maybe something that you're a little bit afraid of for future meetings in English? So, we're going to go into each one of these challenges, and I'm going to be giving you solutions on how you can really excel, really show up with confidence and authority in English in these meetings. So I'm very excited to share with you my teachings, the things that I help my clients with. I have helped for several years now, just focusing on legal professionals. So let's take a look at the first one. So I freeze when I need to contribute in English. So feeling really stuck, not knowing what to say, how maybe even how to start when contributing your ideas. This is normally related. If you can imagine your meetings, I don't know if you have if it's one-on-one that can happen, so you and your client and or colleague, or if it's in a group situation. So in a group situation, well, also in a one-on-one, there's somebody leading the meeting. There's somebody who's going to be facilitating. So when you need to contribute, this is more when you are like a participant. So that's what I'm focusing on here. So let me show you what I suggest. So you should use the 5-second rule and then use a set phrase to contribute. That's it. And don't worry if you don't know what any of this means. I'm going to explain to you what the 5-second rule means. It's actually very simple. It almost, you can maybe even figure it out for yourself, but it actually comes from a really well known public speaker, personal development coach, Mel Robbins. I think she's one of the highest paying female speakers in the world now. So she's really influential. She's American and she's a former lawyer as well, actually. And she came up with this based on science. And maybe it's even too simple. Like when you explain it, it's just too simple. But when you are afraid, when you're afraid in a situation or you don't want to do something, you feel in your comfort zone, you don't really want to take that initiative to participate in a meeting, or you just feel really anxious, you basically count down from five, four, three, two, one, and just say it. Just contribute. Just give that set phrase to interrupt or and to just add your point of view. It's as simple as that, and really, it's very effective if you take this on board. There's a whole book dedicated to the 5 second rule. I'd recommend it. I've read it myself. She has a lot of podcasts and YouTube videos as well that you can check out. But really, the rule is as simple as that, just counting down from 5 and going for it, not overthinking. Because I think the thing with freezing when you need to contribute in English in a meeting, it often can be a result of either fear, overthinking, yeah, those two basically. But counting down from 5 and just saying something accompanied with a set phrase so that it makes it easier for you to begin is going to help a lot. So let me read these set phrases. You can see them on the screen here, but they're a great way to begin. So you could just even have them written down, printed out in front of you in a meeting, and then it will help you to start. So, number one, if I could just add something here, and I'm going to add something here about the GDPR policy in our company. Number two, I'd just like to ask if you've given any thought to. So very nice, very indirect, gentle kind of way of making a suggestion, participating in a meeting. I'd just like to ask if you've given any thought to. And the third one, sorry for interrupting, but before we move on, can I add my thoughts on this? That's really nice, especially if you really feel that your contribution is coming in from nowhere and you want to apologize for interrupting, but you can't let the meeting go on without you saying that thing. So yeah, just acknowledging, saying sorry for interrupting, but before we move on, can I just add my thoughts on this topic? Sorry, that shouldn't be a last bullet point. It should be, can I add my thoughts on this topic? So those three phrases, set phrases to help you to start off that um, contribution that you're going to give in a meeting, coupled with the 5 second rule that's really going to help you. Okay, let's move on to the second one. So the second one, I don't know what to say to manage the meeting well. Okay, so this is really interesting. So the first one there, we were talking about contributing in a meeting, and that was yeah, participating, contributing in a meeting. But then I already spoke about how, there's always going to be somebody who is leading the meeting, who is facilitating the meeting, and that is where this comes in. I don't know what to say to manage the meeting well. And it's so important in every meeting to have a good, clear structure. And that's where it comes in to make this and to have this. So what I would say to this is that when you are facilitating, following a meeting structure, which will help you to facilitate the meeting, and then using set phrases, like the phrases I just showed you with in the previous slide. So here is like a set structure for a general meeting, and of course, you could add in your own points here, but this is just a good template, a good starting point. So first of all, you would be welcoming and thanking the participants. So maybe a set phrase could be, first of all, I'd like to thank you all for joining us here today. And then introducing people, I'd like to go around the table and let you all introduce yourselves. Something like that. So I do have all these set phrases that I share in my program, and it's not something I can go into today. We don't have a lot of time for that, but there's definitely set phrases that you can use that can really help you to structure your meeting so that you know how to manage it well in English. And there can be such a difference culturally as well as linguistically. Culturally, how different cultures manage meetings and how they structure things. So it's important to follow this for meetings in English. Then outlining the agenda. So the agenda, what we're going to do. First, we're going to talk about this. Then we'll move on to talking about this, and finally, we're going to finish by discussing this next stage in this project, for example. Then you go on, maybe like this is throughout the meeting, but definitely in the main body of the meeting, you're always checking in with the participants and you're asking for opinions, checking, what are your thoughts on this? How do you feel about this? It doesn't need to be a full blown opinion, but just checking in with the client or whatever. What are your thoughts on what I've suggested? Do you like this idea? Etc. etc. I think it's really important to have that, especially when you're managing the meeting. You can risk, taking over and it just being all about you monologuing and not getting much interaction from the participants. So it's giving your participants the chance to contribute and to give their opinion. Managing the discussion as well. This is related to, when we're going off topic, when participants or you may be going off topic and you're trying to steer the meeting to and sticking to the point of the agenda. So you can say something like, "We don't have time for talking about this right now in this meeting, but I'm definitely going to add it to our agenda for the next meeting." So that could be managing the discussion. Then summarizing, that's a really important part as we get to the end of a meeting. So you can say, to sum up, to wrap up, I'm going to just go over what we discussed, something like that. And then closing the meeting, um, giving information about the next meeting, the date for the next meeting, and wishing everyone safe, I don't know, safe travels if it's a big meeting, or just like, I'm going to follow up with you by email with the report, with the minutes of this meeting, something like that, just to close the meeting. So yeah, that will really help you. When you feel that you don't know what to say, to manage the meeting, having a clear structure and having set phrases is going to really, really help you. And just printing that out, having it in your notes, um, will help you not overthink and not get stressed, and know what to do in this situation. Okay, so let's go on to the third scenario or difficulty that you might have when it comes to meetings. I am frustrated that I can't express myself fully in meetings in English. Okay, this is a tricky one, and I'm looking at this from the perspective of, giving, summarizing something or articulating something specific. So here I'm going to give you a few tips, a few pointers on what you can do to help with this. So I have a few points here. So the first is, of course, and I know this is quite obvious, but it's definitely important to remember, and it will help you a lot if you do this. Especially, I think, as well, if you are an introvert, if you're someone who does get anxiety before a meeting, it will really help you to prepare what you want to say before the meeting and to make notes with bullet points. So preparation is key. It's going to really help you to know, to be able to express yourself fully. And leading on to that, the second point is brainstorming 10 to 20 keywords in English to help you explain the topic and to practice the pronunciation of these words so you feel comfortable using them. I think that's really important and key, and probably something not many people do, not many English learners would do in a meeting when they have it in English. But that will help you really about, as the challenge is to you can't express yourself fully in meetings in English. Knowing those 10 to 20 key words, knowing how to pronounce them will give you that comfort, will give you that confidence going in, being able to summarize these points, this, whatever it is, message for yourself. Also, listening and understanding others when they're talking about this topic and using these keywords. One little bonus tip I would suggest here is you could definitely get Chat GPT AI to give you some keywords in English. Maybe that's something I can do in a future video, but ChatGPT can definitely be useful for these kinds of things, of brainstorming ideas, of, summarizing for you, helping you to articulate your message in English before you go in and actually do the speaking, or in this live situation. That might help with the preparation. And then the third point is something that I talk about when, needing to summarize something. So it's the PrEP framework. It's point. So the first part of this acronym is point, which is state the main point. Then reason, giving a reason and explaining the point with specific details. So the Dublin regulation, it's an important piece of legislation from the European Union because it manages migration and migrants coming into Europe. So that could be the reason, because you're giving a reason. And then giving an example, giving an example and using data to illustrate the point. So, for example, many migrants that come to Europe, they come through Greece and Italy, and yeah, and that can be that is definitely something that is impacted by the Dublin regulation. So giving some kind of statistic information, further detail will help, giving that example. And then the point is reviewing the main point again and telling the audience what they should do with this information. So giving like a call to action. So what do you want the audience to get out of what you're saying? That's really key. And especially in a meeting context, in meetings, you really have clear purposes. You're here for a reason in these meetings. So what do you want your clients to think about? What do you want them to do, clients or colleagues, after listening to you talk about this? And I think having this clear call to action, which is kind of a marketing term, but clear kind of reason why they should care, or giving them, a reason, it's going to help you a lot with feeling that you expressed yourself fully about this topic because you were very clear, you had a clear structure. And also, finally, that what you can do is to review your meeting performance. How can you improve for next time? So, of course, being kind to yourself, having compassion, but just looking at, was there something within the actual communication in the meeting? Were you underprepared? Were you stuck for some words? What were you still searching for some words? And how could you improve that for next time? Maybe brainstorming further keywords, maybe making example sentences. Did you stumble over the pronunciation of certain words? Could you practice that more? Could you maybe even record yourself summarizing the topic beforehand? And that will give you a really good basis. So you're already preparing in, and you're also preparing in orally. You're not just writing down notes. So that's another tip, another idea. But like preparing orally before the meeting, you can do this on your own by getting out your phone, clicking the recorder app, and recording yourself summarizing whatever you need to summarize in a meeting. That's going to help you really prepare, really practice that pronunciation, and also thinking on your feet, thinking spontaneously. So that is another tip that I would suggest. So that is the third point, and that comes to the end of this video. Um, the one thing I want to encourage you to do is to subscribe to my newsletter. I'm going to put the link in the comments of this video, and it's where I share with you all the latest updates. I share tips, lessons, and strategies to help you get unstuck with your current level in English as a legal professional. And I will be sharing more content about showing up with confidence for meetings, maybe even a course in the future in the new year, or also perhaps some kind of download that you can use to help you better prepare for meetings in English as a legal professional. So that is it. And also, I did speak about briefly about my programs. If you are interested in becoming my client, in signing up and joining the program, so you can really achieve, you know, um, full English speaking fluency. So you can show up with confidence in English in work as a legal professional and take that next step in your legal career, international legal career. Don't hesitate to reach out here on the platforms or on my website as well. So thank you for watching today's video, and I will talk to you in the next